Now we learn today's shir. Chayil. Alter Rebbe is going to repeat the exact same thing again. Everything we just learned in the last two shiurim, the Midas and Moichen is going to repeat it again. But now he's talking about Nefesh HaLakis. And you'll notice right away the different nekudas that Alter Rebbe underscores, because now he's talking about Nefesh HaLakis. I'll get l'chazach. The nekuda is that Nefesh HaLakis has only one interest, the Eibishter. You come to Nefesh HaLakis and you explain him a concept in physics. Nefesh HaLakis doesn't say I don't understand. Nefesh HaLakis says I'm not interested. Come to Nefesh HaLakis, try to get him excited about it. Even Nil Mazis doesn't mean anything to me. All he cares about is get l'chad. Kol zehu rak al derech moshel levad. All of this is only a moshel. Ki kol zeh, everything we said until now, hu benefesh hasichlis hatachtena sheba'adam. It's the intellectual soul, which is the lowest soul of a person. Now, Chevra, I don't know if you guys know this whole controversy. In my modern Friedrich Rebbe, you have three nefashos: Nefesh HaBahamis, Nefesh HaSichlis, and Nefesh HaLakis. Each one has a Chabad Chagas Nehim. Each one has Makifim and so on. In the Tanya, there's no Nefesh HaSichlis B'Chalal. In Tanya, you have two nefashos, right? Shtei nefashos, Nefesh HaLakis, Nefesh HaBahamis. In the first chelik of Tanya, there's no Nefesh HaSichlis B'Chalal. That's what Rem is. B'Klalos, the Nefesh HaSichlis is assumed to be the Seichel of the Nefesh HaBahamis. It's not a separate Nefesh, it's the Seichel of the Nefesh HaBahamis. But my Morim Shpeta is drei nefashos. So the Rebbe says the Nefesh are three different souls altogether. Here it says the Nefesh HaSichlis HaTachteino Shaba'adim Abba Meklipas Nege. Now by Pashtus, if it comes from Klipas Nege, it's also the Nefesh HaBahamis which comes from Klipas Nege. So Meil Alter Rebbe says, what I told you until now is a lower Madrega of Moshel. Now I want to give you a higher and an Eidele Madrega of Moshel. If you want to be honest, and you want to find a more correct Moshel for the Esesfiris, don't use the Nefesh HaBahamis and Nefesh HaSichlis as a Moshel, but rather use the Nefesh HaLakis, the higher soul, which is the godly soul, which is a shtick, it's a piece of a lakus mal. And therefore, kol amides, all of the emotions, pnimis v'chitzeni is the inner emotions, like ava and yira. And by the way, the pnimius of Teferes is simcha. It says in Tanya Perek Tes. The only place in Tanya where this says is in Tanya Perek Tes. He talks about the three midas of Chesed, Gevurah, and Teferes. And Teferes is from the Stakol, Bikor of the Malka, and the midah of Teferes is simcha. And from simcha comes rachman. You have ava and Chesed, yira and Gevurah, and simcha and rachman. Okay, so the side of pnimius, the side of chitzenius, they're only interested in the Eibishter. Only the Eibishter means enough to them to love him and to want to connect him and so forth. The Nefesh HaLakis is bored by Taivas, even Taivas Heter. Because he loves the Eibishter. Because of his great desire to be attached to him. Who chafetz chesed, he wants to do kindness. So Ava is the Pnimius and Chesed is the Chitzenius. Kedei lidbeg b'midei sav, to connect to the Eibishter's midas, k'mayim razal, a pasuk called Dafka Bey. And it says in the pasuk, the Gemara pasuk, Dafka Bey is in Pashas Kisarei. Another example of Hashgacha Pratis that the mitzvah says of Dafka Bey is in our Pasha, and it's always the chitas of this time of year. You guys, the Kedesh says, you read the Dafka Bey. And the Gemara says, it's a sefri, had beg b'midei sav, become attached to the Eibishter's midas. So because you love the Eibishter, and you want to be like the Eibishter, you're going to do chesed to a person. So the Pnimius is Avas Hashem. And the Chitzonius is chesed lebnei Adam. Because you love the Eibishter and you want to be like the Eibishter, you're going to do chesed. Weiter, v'chein, midas hagvur. What's the midas hagvur Nefesh HaLakis? Kanos. Li'polim in Rashayim, to punish people who are Rashayim. U'la'ancham b'enchi ateilah, to punish them with enchi ateilah. Are they the Teva? Now, bei Chassidim kocht man sich nicht in Einish. But if you really love the Eibishter, you're a person who sins against the Eibishter, you just have flung fire. V'chein, another thing that Midas HaGevurah is Lizgaber al Yitzhak, to strengthen oneself over the Yitzhak Hara. Or the Kaddish, it's Atzmei B'mutal, this is already a third in it. It's not enough, I don't do Averis, but I want to be Kaddish. It's the Alter Rebbe Pasuk is Tanya Perek Zayin from the Charedim, that it's a mitzvah Seishal Teira. It's a big Chiddush. That Kaddish Atzmei B'mutalach, what we call a Skafi, is one of the Yag mitzvahs, mitzvah Seishal Teira, not to allow yourself dvarim amitarim. The last says gedev yog, to make a fence l'teira mepnei pachad ad Hashem v'yirasi, because you're afraid of the Eibishter. You're not just going to do the mitzvahs. Minimum, you're going to make asus yog l'teira fences.
What's chesed? The stava?
Chesed is because I love the Eibishter, I'm kind to people because I want to be hadbig b'midesav. Okay, mipnei pen v'yirasi, he's afraid pen yavo lechat chas v'shalom is come to an aveir. Now goes Teferes. V'chein, the third midah, and look how he explains Teferes. The midas at Teferes that Nefesh Elokis wants the Eibishter to be beautiful to behold. You look at the Eibishter, you see beauty. L'fayir es Hashem, to beautify the Eibishter, v'tirasi in his Torah, v'cholmini pe'eh in all types of beauty. U'ladavka b'shvachav, and connect yourself to his midas. B'chol b'chinas nafshi, in all the aspects of your soul, to make yourself beautiful as well. The hainu. Be'ezban nusichli u'machshavte, to contemplate with your intelligence and with your thought. And gam b'diburin, also in your speech. All of this is Teferes. You want to make the Eibishter beautiful. And because you want to be like the Eibishter, you also want to be beautiful. That in every aspect of your being, it should reflect the beauty of Elokus. So Teferes is interessante Midah. Weißt doch, Ulefayr is basically Keinu. Was steht in the Pasuk? Nu, what's the Pasuk sagt? What's the Pasuk? Nu? Zeh Keli Van Veyo. It's a line shame. That's the Midah of Teferes. And now goes Netzach. V'chein. Lamed b'nitzach, to stand in victory, in determination. Neged kol, any absolute serving the Eibishter, ul dafka bei. And something which is stopping you from being attached to the Eibishter. You're going to fight like a lion. Nobody should stop you from being attached to the Eibishter. That's the first midas hanetzach. Don't stop me from serving Hashem. I'm going to run you over. But there's a second midas hanetzach. That is, neged kol minei. I'm also going to fight against any obstacle. Miliyes, kvei davaya, molias kol haaretz. From the Eibishter's glory filling the whole land. In other words, not enough that I myself, I'm not going to let anybody stop me from serving the Eibishter. I'm not going to allow the whole world from stopping me from serving the Eibishter. I'm sorry, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to let somebody stop from the Eibishter being revealed to the whole world. With the words of God, like the words of God, fought. He didn't just fight that people shouldn't stop him from serving the Eibishter. He fought not to stop the Eibishter from being revealed in the whole world. Additionally, and now he's talking Midas HaHeid. Rabbi say, we just did Netzach. Netzach has 2 Nekudas so far. To fight against somebody who's stopping me from connecting to the Eibishter, and fighting against someone who's stopping from the Eibishter being revealed in the whole world. And now goes Hoid. What's Hoid? Is to prostrate. You see, the first word he says is Shtachavo. Better. The first thing he says by Hoid is not thanks, it's bowing down. Is to bow down and to submit to the Eibishter. Based on the fact that he knows that Shemacha gives life and existence to everything. Everything is nullified in its form to him. And therefore, everything relative to the Eibishter is nothing. It's insignificant altogether. Now, if you understand, you don't have to have Hoid, you can have Avaviyirah. When do you have Hoid? You don't understand, but you submit anyway. You don't understand. You don't understand. You're not smart enough to understand what it means that the world is nothing to the Eibishter. We concede and submit with true submission to the Eibishter. It's absolutely true. So Hidah means I'm accepting the truth of Hashem, which I cannot understand. Could you wait 1 second? So the first thing of Hoid is to submit, to accept in Yadam of conditional Elokus, which we can't understand. Another aspect of Hoid is Laheidas Hashem al Kol HaTevis. Push it to thank the Eibishter, to acknowledge the Eibishter for all the good that he does for us, which he gave us. Not to be ingrates, ungrateful, not to be kafui teva. This also includes not just to thank Hashem for the good that he does for me, but also Laheidas, to thank the Eibishter, Akol Shvachav, Umideisav, which means the Sfiras of the Eibishter, and the names of the Eibishter. In other words, I'm not only thanking to Hashem for what he does for me, I'm thanking Hashem because he created the Lakus, the Sfiras. Ba'atzilas, Ubriyas Elienim B'tachtenim, and creating the higher worlds and the lower worlds, Sheimish Ubacham, that they're praiseworthy, and they have milas without any end. V'noyim, Uru'uyim, and they're beautiful and apropos, Elav Yizbarach V'Yisalaf for the Eibishter. Vuhu milash and heid v'hadar. It's the idea of acknowledgement and beauty. So netzach is to fight somebody who's stopping Gili Alakus, and Hoid is to submit to the Eibishter, which I don't understand, and to thank the Eibishter for all of his glory. So that's Hoid. Now goes Yesed. The mid of tzaddik, which is the Yesed Elam, the Yesnav, Shekshur, Abadeshem, midas, I say this connection. And as I explained to you before, Hoyd and Netzach draw strength from you. Yesod draw strength from the Eibishter. My connection to the Eibishter itself motivates. Chaya Chayim, who is the source of all life. Uladov, kabeng to be attached to the Eibishter, bedvei, kavach hasheka, with attachment and a longing, becheshik, with tainug niflo, with a longing and a wondrous pleasure. Stop. So that's Yesod. The same thing he said Nefesh HaSichos, he says more or less in the Nefesh HaLekis. But notice the chilukim. That Nefesh HaLekis Poshet, the only thing it's interested in, to get emotional about, is the Eibishter. And by the Nefesh HaLekis, he mentions Malchus, which he didn't do in the Nefesh HaBahamis. Zokter, Ubemi, that's Malchus. What's the emotion of Malchus? Kabbalah Seil. The Kabbalah love to accept upon oneself, El Malchus, the yoke of the Eibishter's kingship. Vavedas is Aveda, Kavedas called ever, like the work of every slave, La Deni to his master, Be'ema, Ve'yira, and awe and fear. So why in Nefesh HaSichlis and Bahamid he didn't mention Malchus, I don't know. But he says Malchus is Avedas Ovid. There's a difference between Hoyd and Malchus. Hoyd is I'm conceding. Malchus I'm Mimchavel Avdus, which is what we have in Tanya Perek Mamalef. I wanted to mention it this morning also. There's Yira and there's Avdus. The Rebbe says, Shnei mitzvahs b'minyan tayag. And this is Perek Mamalef, Chiddush. At kan chagas nehi. He just explained chagas nehi. And he goes back now to Chabad. Just like he did before. But in the previous shtickle, the Fidik made two shiurim out of it. Midas is one shir and Mechin is another shir. In the Nefesh HaLekis, he makes Midas and Mechin one shir chitas. And that's also b'diuk. It's not just because he wants Chayel to have a big chunk. It's because in the Nefesh HaSichos, Midas and Mechin are separate. And Nefesh HaLekis, it's one thing. Zakter, Umekeir, V'sheidish, Kol Midas, the source and the root of all the Midas in Mechabad. And now he explains Chochmah separately, and Bina separately, and Da separately, which he did not do in the Nefesh HaSichos HaBamis. First of all, Dr. Azeh, the Hainu Chochmah, what's Chochmah? He Mokar HaSeichel HaMasagis Hashem. It's the source of the wisdom to understand the Eibishter. And the Chochmasei, or Gedulasei, or Medeisav HaGedeshes, understand the Eibishter's wisdom, and the Eibishter's kindness, all the rest of the Eibishter's midas, Shemanig u'Machaya Behen, as called the Elam as Yenim V'Tachtenim. Chochmah is the source of understanding the Eibishter and his midas. The Tachtenim doesn't explain what this means. But you guys already know this in Tanya Perek Gimel. He says, Keach Ma, to Borak HaMavrik, you have a flash of an idea about what the Eibishter is, the Eibishter's midas are like, but you don't understand them thoroughly yet. That's Chochmah. There's Mamshech Bina. What is Bina? My translation for Chochmah is the creative mind. My translation for Bina is the thorough and analytical mind. Bina is not Machadish, but Bina is Mavchin, it's Machklor. Okay? I'm sorry? Is Machadish. The whole unit of Chochmah is Chiddush. But in Chochmah it's only a flash. Ubina, it's thinking, in analyzing this point that you got from Chochmah, top of Kuf Chav Daled Amarav Rabbeisai. In length and depth and breadth, Binase was understanding. Lahav and Dav Mitechtawa, to understand something deeper from something more superficial. Wait, stop for a moment. I want to just tell you like this. Oirech means when you masber a sechel in a lower madrege, to a lower talmud. Reichav means when one idea of seichel creates other ideas of seichel. It's pashtus. And oimek is called nekudas hatamtis, to get to the essence of it. Seichel. Oirech means to be mamshech to a lower madrege, like using mishalim. Reichav means madama milsa l'milsa, comparing it to other inyanim, but in the same madrege. And oimek is the nekuda. Okay? So the first inyan of bina is to understand. But then the second inyan of bina, and what is that? Hey, let me ask Hagazu, when to give birth from this understanding, Tail de Seha, the children of Moichin, Shei Midas, which are the Midas, Ava V'yira Shar Midas, of love and fear and the remaining Midas. Hanela, there's been Nefesh HaLekis, that in the godly soul they're actually born from Hamaskel, Lesum is Beinenes, Begdulas of the Shem, which is creative and contemplative. Maskelis means creative, Machadish. Mizbeinenes means to analyze, to study it. Begdul, as Hashem, the greatness of the Eibishter. That Kilugdua, Sayin Cheke, the Eibishter's greatness is in, and you can't analyze it. Okay? And you use your seichel to understand that you can't understand it. Yash bechinas gedulas ad Hashem. There is a greatness of the Eibishter. Shayadei is bonus nefesh alakisba through contemplating in it. In the nefesh alakis, just like you can have ava, you can also have yira. Tipil aleha a mosa v'fachad. You'll have awe and fear. Sheyira tata, which is a lower fear. She bechinas malchus, which is a madrega of malchus, which is also a big chiddush. V'yesh bechinas gedulas avaya. You can think about the greatness of the Eibishter in a different way. Shemimena ba yira lo yira beishis. Which you can have the higher fear, which is the fear of being embarrassed of the Eibishter. So there's two types of yira. Yira tata is a fear of punishment, and he calls it malchus. Yira law is push it, you're embarrassed in front of the Eibishter, and it has to do with your seichel. And he says, and same is true of it goes back now to chesed. Yesh bechina, there is an idea of vizbanos remember ba'avarabba, for which you can develop an infinite love for the Eibishter. Yesh bechina, there's different aspects remember ba'avazuta, from which you could develop a limited love for the Eibishter. V'chein b'midas hachitenis, as well as the chitenis, the kamidas, and chesed v'chulu. Ava is the pnimius, chesed is the chitenis, yira is the pnimius, and gvur is the chitenis, and so forth. Chulu. So he explained Chochma and Bina. Chochma is Machadish, Bina is Mavchin, and Bina is Moilid. Bina does two things. It analyzes to help you understand, and it contemplates to help you get aroused. That's Chochma and Bina. And now goes Das. And the Alter Rebbe geht an Das, und sagt, sehr gründlich, sehr tief, sehr große Sachen. Sagt Ubekul, and all of the above, Tzarech lies Melubish behen, Bechinas Das. The key is that it should be in a Das. What is das? Ubechinas is kashrus hanefesh, the attachedness of the soul, hakshuro tkua, which is tied and planted, ba'asaga through this understanding. Shemaseges eize inyan. That when you understand whatever it is, migidul asad Hashem for the greatness of the Eibishter, that in order to develop real midas, it's not enough to understand. You have to have das. When you have das, das does not make you understand one drop better. Das doesn't make you understand one drop better. Das just makes that what you understand, it's real. You connect to it. So he explains. Shavi man, now that from understanding in the Eibishter, Neldaba is a midah mamidas. You have any midah. And the key is, I skipped a line, okay? Let me start again from Ubekula. Ubekula and in all of them, Tzarech liyas nush behem bechinas adas, you have to have das. Shubechinas is kashrus, it's the connection of hanefesh of the neshama, hakshuro tkua, which is tied and planted be'asagazu shemaseges, and this thing that it understands, that it's understanding eize inyam dos of the Shem, whatever it is understanding in greatness of the Eibishter, shamimena nailed the bar eize midah me'amidis, which is going to give birth to one of the emotions. Says the Rebbe, the key is not how much you understand and how much you feel, the key is how connected you are, and that's das. Ki behesach das, when there's a deficiency in das, there's a distraction from focus and locking in, kiragi, even for a moment, from this understanding, mistalek es gamkein hamida, the emotion goes away. Haneil the mimena, which was born from it. Migilei, from mehagilei benefesh, which being revealed in the soul, el hahel, to be hidden. Lies babakech malei bepel, that the midah should become potential, not actual. So das is very, very important. Das doesn't understand, das doesn't feel, but das makes it what you see and you understand. About the Eibishter becomes real, and therefore the emotions are real. Okay? For l'chein, and for this reason, nikra zivig b'loshen das. That the inyan from zivig is connected to das. Like he said, l'oshen en kishi elul das. That's why tinig ain't male, because it ain't like das. Mepnei shu l'oshen es kashnas. It's inyan from connection. And the connection creates the connection between your mind and your heart. Now, Cheved, the next few shuras is very deep. I'm talking not on a kudah. It says in Kabbalah that there's das tachta das heli. In the Shir the other day, I mentioned what's the pshat of tachta. It sounds God teeth. But in Kabbalah, das tachten is the kesher between seichel and midas. Das elyon is either the connection between chokhmah and bina, or the connection between chokhmah and keser. Okay? So das tachten means that what you feel should be real. Seichel and midas. Das elyon means that what you have in chokhmah should be nimshach into bina. And this is called meichin the gadlus. Or the hayam adeg of das elyon, which is makash keser with chokhmah. This is called Meichin Rechovim, which is even a higher inyan. It's mentioned in Ayem Yeh. So there's different kinds of das, and the constant in all das is discussions. Look at Azay. V'zeu b'chinas das tacht. This, the connection between what you understand and you feel, is the lower das. Hadas, hatach, the lower das. Hamispashet, which expands the midas into the midas. Umislabish behen, and is revealed in them, la'chayes, and all the kaimim, to give them life and existence. But I want you to know that the yesh bechinas das ha'elyon is a higher das, which is not a connection between seichel and midas, but either between chokhmah and bina, or between kesed and chokhmah. Shu bechinas iskashas v'chibur. It's a connection between Makeira Seichel Amasik, the source of the wisdom that understands, Eimek HaMusik, the depth of an idea. Shehu Kunakuda, which is a pintela, a point, Ukabara Kamavak, and a lightning flash, Al Sichli in his wisdom, which is Chochma. Sheyispashet Lamata, it should come down below, meaning into Bina. V'yavei Eimek HaMusik, the depth of the idea, they have vana to understanding it, and Bina, Barachava Sabir, with a broad understanding, and length and breadth, and notice that it didn't say Eimek. She bechinas Bina, which is the idea of Bina. Eimek HaMusik is Chachma. And the Ha'arachas HaMusik, and the Archavas HaMusik is Bina. They have this door. She bechinas Bina, which is the idea of Bina. Hanikid Acheves Hana, which is called the breath of the river. Everybody knows it. The Rebbe always, the Rebbe spoke middle of the Rebbe, the Bina. What's the mocker of Cheves Naz Bina? It's a pasuk in Chumash. There were Shmeini Malachim, there were 8 kings. Shemalchu lifnei Melech Melech Bnei Yisrael. Say Pashas Vayishlach. It's one of the weirdest Pashas in Chumash, where you have the whole history of Edom and Esav. You have over there Magdiel, the Rashi Huraimi, the whole history of Edom till Rome and beyond. So of course in Kabbalah it's explained that these psukim are not describing the history of Esav, it's describing Elam Mateu. And over there you have 8 kings, and the 8 kings are the kings which represent the Midas, where there was Shvira Sakela. You also have Hadad ben Bedad, which is Yosaid of Ak, as opposed to Malchus of Ak, and it's brought in the Maimorim. It's brought in the Maimorim, and the Kutatera, could be in Masei, that there was no Shvira. But one of the kings that's mentioned there is Shaul Mercheves Hanor. So it's explained in Chassidus that this Shaul is the Indian of Shaul HaMelech, the father-in-law of David HaMelech. Mercheves Hanor, that Shaul was from Bina, and David HaMelech was from Malchus, against Arichas. I've just mentioned this and say, okay, you know.